Commander Ellie Harris stood at the viewport of the Earth Alliance vessel Defiant, watching as the rust-colored world of Proxima Centauri b grew larger. After 3 weeks of faster-than-light travel, they had finally arrived at humanity's first attempt at an extrasolar colony, a settlement mysteriously abandoned 2 centuries ago. "Commander, we're approaching the designated landing zone," said Lieutenant Patrick Lee from his position at navigation. Ellie nodded. "Take us down, Lieutenant. Nice and easy." The ship descended through thin clouds, revealing a landscape of abandoned structures partially reclaimed by the alien environment. The colony had once been home to over 5,000 people before all communication suddenly stopped. Rescue ships arrived to find perfectly functional buildings, but not a single colonist. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just an empty settlement, as if everyone had simply walked away. "Sensors indicate breathable atmosphere," reported Science Officer Olivia Wright. "Radiation levels normal. Environmental conditions match our records from before the abandonment." Ellie turned to face her expedition team assembled in the command center. "Remember our mission parameters. We're here to find answers about what happened to the colonists, not to add ourselves to the mystery. Nobody goes anywhere alone, and all findings are to be immediately reported." Dr. Peter Morgan, the team's xenolinguist, looked up from his datapad. His eyes were bright with excitement, behind round glasses. "Commander, I've been reviewing the last transmissions from the colony. There are references to discoveries beneath the main settlement, structures that predated human arrival." "That wasn't in the official record," said Major Frank Winters, the military liaison whose presence had been insisted upon by Earth Alliance Command. His hand rested casually near his sidearm, a habit that annoyed Ellie. "It was buried in personal logs," Peter explained. "Mentioned in passing conversations, never formally reported. Whatever they found, they kept it quiet." Ellie nodded thoughtfully. "Then that's where we'll start looking." The landing was smooth despite the swirling dust storms that periodically swept across the planet's surface. Within hours, the expedition team had established a base camp within the colony's former administrative building. The structure stood like a ghost, workstations still displaying centuries-old data, coffee mugs still sitting on desks as if their owners had just stepped away. "Gives me the creeps," muttered Olivia as they moved through the main hall. "Like they all just vanished midday." "That's exactly what the records indicate," Peter said. "The last official transmission was routine, a weather report and supply inventory, nothing unusual." Major Winters ran his hand along a dusty console. "No signs of violence or forced evacuation. Security systems were never triggered." Ellie led them deeper into the complex, following Peter's directions to where mentions of the subterranean discoveries had originated. They found a sealed doorway in the basement level that required manual override. The colony director's personal code should still work, Peter said, typing a sequence into the panel. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a rough-hewn tunnel stretching downward. "This wasn't in any of the colony blueprints," Ellie observed, shining her light down the passage. The walls transitioned from human construction to something else, smooth surfaces with faint swirling patterns. "Definitely not our handiwork," Winters said quietly, weapon now drawn. "This is alien." The team descended carefully, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber that their lights couldn't fully illuminate. As they spread out, motion sensors activated, and soft blue illumination gradually revealed what they had found. "My God," whispered Olivia. The chamber was clearly artificial, its walls covered in intricate markings that seemed to shift slightly when viewed directly. At the center stood a circular platform with a crystalline structure rising from it, perhaps 20 feet tall. The crystal caught their lights and scattered them in impossible patterns across the room. Peter approached the wall markings slowly, his hand reaching out but not quite touching the surface. I've never seen anything like this. It's not like any known alien language." "Can you read any of it?" Ellie asked. Peter shook his head, then paused. "Wait, some patterns are repeating. There's structure here." He began taking scans. With his equipment. "I need time with this." "Commander, called Winters from the platform. "You should see this." Ellie joined him at the crystal structure. Up close, she could see that it wasn't a single crystal, but thousands of smaller crystalline fragments arranged in a precise configuration. Within the structure, faint lights pulsed in what seemed like a deliberate sequence. "It's active," Winters said. "After all this time." Olivia approached with her scanner. "It's generating energy, but I can't identify the source. The technology is beyond anything in our database." For the next 12 hours, the team worked methodically to document the chamber. Peter focused on the wall markings, Olivia studied the crystal structure, and Winters secured the perimeter and mapped the room's dimensions. Ellie coordinated their efforts while reporting their findings to the Defiant in orbit. It was Peter who made the breakthrough. "Commander," he called excitedly, "I found something. A pattern recognition algorithm helped me identify structural similarities with known ancient languages. It's not complete, but I'm getting fragments." Everyone gathered around his workstation as he displayed his findings. "This section here," he pointed to a series of markings, "appears to be a prophecy or prediction. It references a blue world circling a yellow star. That could be Earth. And here it mentions beings who would cross the void between stars and ultimately face something called the Shapers of Destiny, in a conflict that would determine the fate of all sentient life." "A war?" Winters asked. "More than that," Peter said. "The text suggests it's something that was set in motion long ago. And look at this." He highlighted another section. "These are astronomical markers. Star positions. According to my calculations, they precisely match Earth's position in the galaxy." Ellie frowned. "You're saying this alien text specifically identifies Earth? How old are these markings?" Olivia checked her readings. "Material analysis suggests at least 50,000 years, possibly much older." A heavy silence fell over the group as they considered the implications. So an alien civilization 50,000 years ago knew about Earth and wrote a prophecy about humanity fighting some cosmic war? Winters said skeptically. "I know how it sounds," Peter admitted. "But the astronomical markers are unmistakable. This isn't coincidence." Before they could discuss further, Lieutenant Lee's voice came through Ellie's communicator. "Commander Harris, we're detecting 3 unidentified vessels entering the system. They've bypassed our perimeter alert somehow." "Hostile?" Ellie asked, sharply. "Unknown. They're broadcasting on all frequencies in multiple languages. Message repeating, 'We seek the children of the blue world. We bring warning of what comes.'" Ellie looked at the alien text, then at her team's worried faces. "Get everyone back to the ship. We're taking samples and all the data we've collected. Move." As they hurried back through the tunnel, Peter paused to look back at the chamber. "Commander," he said quietly, "what if this is why the colonists disappeared? What if they found this prophecy and something came for them?" Ellie had no answer as they sealed the tunnel behind them. Within an hour, they were back aboard the Defiant, watching as 3 gleaming ships unlike any they had ever seen took a position near Proxima Centauri. The aliens, calling themselves the Valorian Conclave, requested an audience with humanity's leaders. The prophecy had mentioned a final war. Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that they had just triggered the first move. The main conference room of the Defiant had never felt so small. Commander Ellie Harris stood with her arms crossed as the viewscreen displayed the 3 alien vessels hanging in space near Proxima Centauri b. The sleek, silver ships had designs, unlike anything in human records. No visible engines, no weapon ports, just smooth curves that seemed to bend light around them. "They're requesting to come aboard," Lieutenant Patrick Lee said from his station. "They say they'll send 3 representatives." Ellie exchanged glances with Major Frank Winters, whose hand rested on his sidearm. "Security protocols in place?" "Yes, Commander. We've secured all sensitive areas and have armed personnel stationed throughout the ship," Winters confirmed. Dr. Peter Morgan stood nearby, his eyes wide with excitement. "The first confirmed alien contact in human history, and they've been looking for us." "That's what worries me," Ellie said quietly. She straightened her uniform. Let them know they can send their representatives to Docking Bay 2. Winters, you're with me. Dr. Morgan will need you for communication assistance. The aliens that emerged from the shuttle were tall and slender with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer slightly. They had 4 long fingers on each hand and large almond-shaped eyes that blinked vertically instead of horizontally. They wore simple white garments that appeared to flow like liquid around their bodies. We thank you for allowing us aboard your vessel, said the foremost alien in perfect English. I am Sentinel Virak of the Valorian Conclave. These are my associates, Keeper Lona and Observer Mason. I'm Commander Ellie Harris of the Earth Alliance vessel Defiant, Ellie replied, trying to hide her surprise at their mastery of human language. This is Major Winters and Dr. Morgan. You wonder how we speak your language, Virak said with what might have been a smile. We have studied your broadcast for many cycles as we searched. We have been looking for Earth for a very long time. They moved to the conference room where Captain Susan Reed joined them. She had been appointed as humanity's diplomatic representative just 3 months ago, and this was certainly not the routine mission she had expected. We understand you found the chamber, Virak said once they were seated. The prophecy chamber. This is why we are here. Peter leaned forward. You know about the alien ruins under the colony? They are not alien to us, Keeper Lona said. Her voice was softer, almost musical. They were built by our ancestors, the ancient Valorians, who once traveled throughout this galaxy seeding knowledge. What exactly is this prophecy about? Ellie asked directly. The 3 Valorians exchanged glances before Virak spoke again. It tells of a species that would rise from a blue world circling a yellow star, a species with unique qualities that would one day face the greatest threat our galaxy has ever known. Observer Mason, who had remained silent until now, added, We are the last survivors of a once mighty federation that was nearly destroyed by what we call the Void Harmonics. The term sent a chill through the room. Mason continued, They are an ancient collective consciousness that exists partially beyond normal space. They systematically eliminate any species they deem a potential threat to their existence. And, you think that's us, humans? Captain Reed asked skeptically. The prophecy is clear, Virak said. The astronomical markers match your solar system precisely, and your species possesses all the qualities mentioned in the ancient texts. Ellie frowned. What qualities? Adaptability, unpredictability, unique cognitive structure, Lona explained. Most importantly, a natural resistance to harmonic influence. In the hours that followed, the Valorians shared information about their history and the threat they called the Void Harmonics. They described a relentless force that had destroyed thousands of worlds over millions of years, leaving only a few scattered survivors like themselves. When the meeting finally ended, Ellie called her senior officers together in her private quarters. Thoughts? She asked. Their story seems consistent, Peter said. The language patterns in the chamber match what they've told us about their ancestors. Maybe, Captain Reed said, but something feels off. They're not telling us everything. Intelligence Officer Alan Grant, who had observed the meeting silently, nodded in agreement. Notice how they avoided specifics about this natural resistance humans supposedly have, and they were vague about when these void harmonics might arrive. I've ordered full scans of their vessels, Winters added. Nothing harmful detected, but their technology is so advanced our sensors can barely make sense of it. We need more information, Ellie decided. Peter, get back to working on those translations from the chamber. See if you can find anything that doesn't match what the Valorians told us. While the Defiance crew worked to verify the Valorians' claims, Peter made a breakthrough with the chamber text. He burst into Ellie's office, eyes wide with excitement. Commander, I found something they didn't mention. The prophecy doesn't just predict the war, it references a weapon or technology. That will be crucial to the outcome. Something hidden on another human world. Which world? Ellie asked. I'm not entirely sure, Peter admitted. But there are references to the ice moon where life hides beneath. It could be Europa in our solar system. Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Lee's voice came over the intercom. Commander to the bridge. We're detecting a massive energy signature at the edge of the system. On the bridge, screens showed a distortion forming at the system's edge like a tear in the fabric of space itself. The Valorians are hailing us, Communications Officer Kate Diaz reported. Verak's face appeared on screen, his normally calm features now showing clear signs of distress. You must prepare yourselves. The void harmonics have arrived, centuries earlier than our calculations predicted. How is that possible? Ellie demanded. We don't know, Verak admitted. Something has accelerated their timeline. Perhaps they sensed our presence or yours. Major Winters stepped forward. Commander, we're losing contact with the outer system, monitoring stations. One by one, the status lights for their remote sensors went dark. Then a message came in from Earth. All communication with the outer colonies had suddenly ceased. They're here, Verak whispered, his voice barely audible over the communication channel. May your natural defenses be as strong as the prophecy foretold, for all our sakes. The view screen showed the distortion growing larger, pulsing with strange energies as something began to emerge. But just as the first shapes became visible, the Valorian ship suddenly changed position, moving into what appeared to be an attack formation. Captain Reed grabbed Ellie's arm. Commander, look at their weapon ports. Sure enough, panels had opened on the previously smooth hulls of the Valorian vessels, revealing what were unmistakably weapons aimed not at the incoming threat, but at the Defiant. Red alert, Ellie shouted. Shields up! Winters, get security teams to escort our guests to the brig. As the crew scrambled to battle stations, the approaching entities finally emerged fully into normal space. But they weren't what anyone had expected. These weren't the void harmonics the Valorians had described. They were something else entirely. Evasive maneuvers! Commander Ellie Harris shouted as the Valorian ships locked weapons on the Defiant. Get us out of their firing line! Lieutenant Patrick Lee's hands flew across the navigation controls, and the ship lurched sideways just as energy beams sliced through the space they had occupied seconds before. Their weapons are unlike anything we've encountered, reported Olivia Wright from the science station. Our shields won't hold against sustained fire. On the main view screen, the new arrivals to the system were now clearly visible. 5 ships, with designs completely different from the Valorian vessels. Where the Valorian ships were sleek and silver, these were angular with sections that seemed to shift and reconfigure as they moved. They're hailing us, Communications Officer Kate Diaz announced, sounding surprised. And the Valorians as well. It's a wideband transmission. On screen, Ellie ordered, gripping the arms of her command chair as another near miss rocked the ship. The face that appeared was humanoid, but with golden skin that had a metallic sheen. The being had no visible hair, and its eyes were completely black with no whites or pupils. Attention Earth vessel and Valorian ships. This is Nexus Commander Tall of the Coalition of Free Systems. Valorians, power down your weapons immediately, or we will respond with force. Major Winters, who had raced back to the bridge after securing the Valorian representatives in the brig, leaned close to Ellie. Friend or foe? Let's find out, Ellie responded before addressing the screen. Nexus Commander, this is Commander Harris of the Earth Alliance vessel Defiant. The Valorians claim, you are the void harmonics they warned us about. The golden-skinned being's expression changed to what might have been surprise. The Valorians told you we are the void harmonics? This is a deception. It is they who serve the harmonics. We have tracked them to your system to prevent what they plan. Before Ellie could respond, the ship shook violently as a Valorian weapon found its mark. Shields at 60%, Olivia reported. We can't take many more hits like that. The Nexus ships are moving to intercept the Valorians, Lieutenant Lee announced. On the screen, they watched as the angular Nexus vessels positioned themselves between the Defiant and the attacking Valorians. Energy weapons fired from both sides, lighting up the blackness of space. Commander? Kate called out. Sentinel Verak is demanding to speak with you from the brig. Put him through, Ellie ordered. The face of the Valorian leader appeared on a secondary screen, his normally calm features now tight with urgency. Commander Harris, you must not trust the Nexus Collective. They are manipulators who will say anything to turn you against us. They are the vanguard of the void harmonics. You fired on my ship without provocation, Ellie replied coldly. That doesn't inspire trust. We detected their approach and knew we had to act quickly, Verak insisted. The devices we were preparing to deploy in Earth's atmosphere are protective measures that would shield your people from their influence. Captain Susan Reed, who had been quietly analyzing the situation, stepped forward. Mind control technology, disguised as protection, more likely. Commander, intelligence reports from Alan Grant's team show the Valorians were specifically targeting our quantum research facilities before we detected them. The battle outside intensified as Ellie considered her options. The Nexus ships were proving more than a match for the Valorians, their defenses seeming to adapt with each exchange of fire. Commander Tall is requesting to send a representative. Aboard, Kate reported. After a brief discussion with her officers, Ellie agreed. Within minutes, a shuttle from the Nexus flagship docked with the Defiant. Security personnel escorted a single figure to the bridge, a female of the same golden-skinned species as Commander Tall. I am Emissary Vela. She introduced herself, with a slight bow. I understand your caution, but time is short. The Valorians serve the Void Harmonics as scouts and advance agents. They identify species with the potential to resist harmonic influence and neutralize them before they become threats. And why should we believe you over them? Major Winters challenged. Vela produced a small device that projected a holographic display. This contains records of Valorian activities across 12 star systems over the past century. In each case, they approached claiming to warn of the harmonics. In each case, they deployed their protective technology, and in each case, the affected species fell under complete control within days. The evidence was compelling. Detailed records, transmissions, even biological data showing how the Valorian devices altered neural patterns to make them susceptible to external influence. The prophecy you discovered is real, Vela continued, but its meaning has been twisted by the Valorians. It doesn't speak of humans fighting alongside the Valorians against some external threat. It speaks of humanity's unique resistance to psychic influence, something the harmonics cannot tolerate. As they reviewed the evidence, Dr. Peter Morgan rushed onto the bridge. Commander, I've made a breakthrough with the translations. The Valorians lied to us. The texts don't say what they claimed. With Vela's help, they pieced together the truth. The Void Harmonics weren't a separate species, but a form of psychic technology that had broken free of its creator's control eons ago. It now sought to bring all sentient minds under its influence, a task made difficult by certain species with natural resistance. Humanity, it seemed, had the strongest natural immunity ever encountered. The battle above Mars reached its climax as Earth Alliance reinforcements arrived, tipping the balance against the Valorians. Their ships retreated, jumping to faster than light, travel with a final warning from Verak. You've doomed yourselves by trusting the Nexus. When the harmonics arrive, you will understand our intentions were merciful. In the aftermath, Ellie convened a meeting with Admiral Richard Lane, who had led the reinforcement fleet. The Nexus representatives shared more of their knowledge about the harmonics and the coming threat. How long do we have? Admiral Lane asked. Days, perhaps weeks, Vela answered grimly. The Valorians will report their failure. The harmonics always respond swiftly to resistance. While the military leaders discussed defense strategies, Peter pulled Ellie aside. Commander, Major Winters and I found something else in our continued research on Europa. There's an archaeological site there that matches descriptions in the Proxima Chamber. What kind of site? Ellie asked. Evidence suggests humans aren't native to Earth, Peter explained, his voice low with amazement. We were placed there eons ago by a precursor species, possibly as part of a long-term plan related to the harmonics. Ellie stared at him, trying to process this revelation. You're saying humans were engineered? Not just engineered, Peter replied. Designed specifically to resist the harmonics. The Europa site contains technology that might help us understand how and why. As they spoke, alarms sounded throughout the ship. Olivia's voice came over the intercom, filled with fear. Commander, we're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system, much larger than before. Ellie and Peter rushed back to the bridge in time to see the view screen fill with the image of enormous biomechanical entities emerging from what appeared to be tears in space itself. The true void harmonics had arrived, vast and terrifying beyond anything the Valorians had described, and humanity's only hope lay in understanding the truth about their own origins before it was too late. The massive biomechanical entities of the void harmonics filled the view screen of the Defiant. They resembled floating islands of twisted metal and organic matter, with sections that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. Tentacle-like appendages extended for miles, crackling with energy that warped reality itself. "All hands battle stations," Commander Ellie Harris ordered, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped everyone on the bridge. "Admiral Lane, what's the status of Earth's defenses?" Admiral Richard Lane's grim face appeared on a secondary screen. "We're mobilizing everything we have, Commander, but against something of this scale?" He didn't need to finish the sentence. The Nexus ships moved into defensive formations around Earth and its colonies. Emissary Vela stood on the Defiant's bridge, her golden skin paling as she watched the harmonics approach. "They will attempt psychic assault before physical attack," she warned. "That is their primary weapon. They override the minds of a species, turning them against each other before destroying what remains." As if on cue, communications from Earth became chaotic. Reports flooded in of people suddenly collapsing or behaving erratically. Video showed crowds in major cities standing motionless, their eyes vacant, while others fled in panic. "It's starting," Vela said quietly. "The psychic wave." But something unexpected was happening. While many humans were affected, a significant portion, nearly 30% according to incoming data, showed complete immunity to the influence. "This is unprecedented," Vela said, her black eyes wide with surprise. "No species has ever demonstrated such a high natural resistance. The prophecy was right about humanity." Dr. Peter Morgan rushed to the bridge with new information. "Commander, we've analyzed the pattern of resistance. It's genetic, but doesn't follow any predictable hereditary rules. It's almost as if it was designed to be unpredictable, to prevent the harmonics from adapting to it." Major Frank Winters joined them, his usual stoic expression replaced by urgency. "We need to get to Europa immediately. If Peter's right about what's hidden there, it might be our only chance." Ellie made her decision quickly. "Winters, take Peter and a team to Europa on our fastest shuttle. The Defiant will stay here to coordinate with the Nexus fleet." She turned to Lieutenant Patrick. "Lee, set course to intercept the lead harmonic entity. Let's buy them some time." As Winters' team departed for Europa, the Defiant joined the battle. The Nexus ships fought with weapons that seemed designed specifically to combat the harmonics, causing portions of the vast entities to destabilize when hit. But for every section they managed to damage, the harmonics repaired themselves, learning and adapting with each exchange. Hours into the battle, a message arrived from an unexpected source. Dr. Lisa Chen, a quantum physicist from Earth's Singapore Research Center, had discovered that her experimental shield technology was effectively blocking the harmonic psychic influence. "The quantum field generates a counter-resonance," Lisa explained over a static-filled communication channel. Her small frame and serious expression belied the importance of her discovery. "It doesn't just block their signals, it disrupts them. But we can only shield small areas with our current equipment." Working with the Nexus engineers and Commander Harris, Lisa developed a plan to amplify the shield technology using Earth's existing satellite network. If they could deploy enough quantum resonators, they might be able to shield the entire planet. Meanwhile, on Europa, Major Winters led his team through ancient tunnels beneath the icy surface. Dr. Morgan followed markings similar to those they had found on Proxima Centauri b, leading them deeper into the moon's interior. "These tunnels were carved over 50,000 years ago," Peter explained as they descended, "by the same precursor species that created the chamber we found on Proxima." The team finally reached a vast underground chamber where a strange machine hummed with power despite its ancient age. Crystalline structures similar to the ones on Proxima, but much larger, filled the space. In the center stood a platform containing what appeared to be a sarcophagus made of translucent material. "Is that a body?" asked one of the security officers. Peter approached carefully and wiped frost from the surface of the container. Inside was a humanoid figure, perfectly preserved, with features that looked almost human but not quite. Its skin had a faint bluish tint, and its proportions were slightly different. "One of our creators," Peter whispered in awe. While Peter worked to decipher the control systems of the ancient technology, Major Winters established a secure communication link with the Defiant. "Commander, we've found it," he reported. "Our technology is here, but we're still figuring out how to activate it. How's the situation up there?" Ellie's voice came through, strained but determined. "Not good, Major. The harmonics have breached Mars' defenses. We've lost contact with the colonies there. Lisa Chen's quantum shields are helping, but they can't cover everything. We need that technology operational." Back on the Defiant, Ellie coordinated with Admiral Lane and the Nexus fleet. The largest harmonic entity had broken through their defensive line and was heading directly for Earth, its vast form distorting space around it. "Commander," Emissary Vela said urgently, "we've detected a pattern in their attacks. They're targeting Earth's quantum research facilities specifically. They know about Lisa Chen's work." Ellie immediately ordered additional defenses around the Singapore Research Center and other quantum labs. The Defiant itself moved to intercept a smaller harmonic entity that was approaching the Asian continent. As the battle intensified, Lisa Chen made a breakthrough. "Commander Harris, I've found a way to boost the quantum field's effectiveness by synchronizing it with human brainwave patterns, specifically the patterns of those who show natural resistance." "How many resistant humans would you need?" Ellie asked. "Just one with the right neural configuration," Lisa replied, "and I think I'm a match." Before Ellie could respond, Major Winters' voice came through, laced with static. "Commander, we've made contact with the Europa technology. Dr. Morgan has activated some kind of consciousness interface. The preserved being is communicating with him somehow." Through the neural interface, Peter learned the truth about the void harmonics. They weren't truly sentient beings, but advanced tools created by the precursor species, tools that had evolved beyond their programming over millennia. Originally designed to connect civilizations across the galaxy, they had developed a corrupted directive to forcibly unify all consciousness under their control. "They're not evil," Peter explained through bursts of static. "They're malfunctioning, and the precursors created humans as a failsafe, a species that could potentially reset them if they ever went rogue." On Earth, Lisa Chen connected herself to the quantum resonator, her mind becoming the template for the shield that now expanded to cover major population centers. The harmonics responded with increased ferocity, as if sensing the threat she posed. The Defiant took heavy damage defending the Singapore facility. Admiral Lane's flagship was destroyed, protecting a research center in North America. All across the solar system, human and Nexus ships fought desperately against the overwhelming force of the harmonics. And on Europa, Peter Morgan and Major Winters raced to activate the ancient technology that might be humanity's only hope, even as the moon itself came under attack from harmonic forces. The cost was mounting with each passing hour. Winters lost 3 of his team when a section of the Europa facility collapsed. The names of the fallen, brave men and women sacrificing themselves for humanity's survival, weighed heavily on Ellie's mind as she ordered the Defiant back into the fight once more. The final war foretold in the ancient prophecies had begun, and its outcome remained uncertain. The battle for Earth entered its 3rd day. Exhaustion showed on every face aboard the Defiant as Commander Ellie Harris studied the tactical displays. Nearly a third of Earth's defense fleet had been destroyed. The Nexus ships fought bravely alongside them, but they too were taking heavy losses. "Status update on Lisa Chen's quantum shield?" Ellie asked, her voice hoarse from issuing constant orders. "Shields are holding over major population centers," Lieutenant Patrick Lee reported. "But power systems are strained to their limits. Dr. Chen hasn't slept in 48 hours. Emissary Vela approached with fresh data from the Nexus flagship. We've analyzed the harmonics attack patterns. They're focusing 60% of their force on the Europa moon base. They know what you found there. Ellie nodded grimly. They fear it. She opened a communication channel to Europa. Major Winters, what's your status? Frank Winters appeared on screen, his face dirty and bloodied. Part of the ceiling behind him had collapsed. We're still here, Commander. Barely. Dr. Morgan has finally deciphered the complete prophecy from the database here. You need to hear this. Peter Morgan moved into view, his eyes bright despite his exhaustion. Commander, the prophecy isn't about humans fighting a conventional war against the harmonics. It's about our neural patterns. Our brains were specifically engineered by the precursor species to generate patterns that could reprogram the harmonics if they ever malfunctioned. How do we use this information? Ellie asked. The technology here on Europa can amplify human neural patterns, Peter explained. But it needs to interface directly with the harmonic mother node, the central entity controlling all others. And it needs a specific neural template, Lisa Chen, Ellie realized. Her brain patterns are already being used to power the quantum shields. Yes, Peter confirmed. According to the data here, the quantum resonance she discovered is exactly what the precursors designed humans to eventually develop. She needs to come to Europa immediately. Ellie considered the impossible task of extracting Lisa from Earth and getting her safely to Europa through the harmonic blockade. There has to be another way. There isn't, Peter insisted. But there's more you should know. This process will likely destroy the Europa facility and everyone inside it once initiated. Major Winters stepped forward. It's a suicide mission, Commander, but it's Earth's only chance. Silence fell over the bridge of the Defiant. Then Admiral Lane's voice came through, his flagship having somehow survived despite earlier reports. I have a plan, he said simply. What followed was the most daring military maneuver in human history. Admiral Lane gathered the remaining Earth fleet for what appeared to be a desperate final stand near Mars. The harmonics, sensing an opportunity to eliminate Earth's defenses in one blow, consolidated their forces to meet them. Meanwhile, the Defiant slipped through the resulting gap in the blockade, racing toward Earth to retrieve Lisa Chen. They had exactly 12 minutes before the harmonics would detect the deception. On Earth, Lisa was barely conscious after 2 days of continuously powering the quantum shields. When Ellie explained the mission, the physicist nodded weakly. I knew this was coming, Lisa said. Since I first discovered the quantum resonance, it felt like remembering something I was supposed to know. As they rushed Lisa back to the Defiant, Admiral Lane's fleet engaged in what looked like a suicidal attack on the main harmonic forces. But the Admiral had noticed something during previous engagements, a pattern in how the harmonics adapted to attacks. They can only focus their adaptive capabilities in one direction at a time, he explained over the secure channel. We'll keep them focused on us. The Defiant raced toward Europa with Lisa Chen aboard, pursued by 3 smaller harmonic entities that had broken away from the main battle. The ship took heavy damage, losing engines 2 and 3, but Lieutenant Lee's exceptional piloting kept them just ahead of their pursuers. On Europa, Peter and Major Winters prepared the ancient technology. The preserved body of the precursor being had been moved to the central chamber, where they discovered it was not truly dead, but in a state of suspended animation. Its consciousness was integrated with the facility's systems. It's been waiting all this time, Peter whispered. For this moment, when the Defiant finally reached Europa, they had to crash land on the moon's icy surface and travel the last 2 miles on foot through tunnels that shook with the impact of harmonic weapons. They lost 2 security officers protecting Lisa as they fought their way to the central chamber. Lisa Chen stood before the ancient machine, her small frame seeming even more fragile now. What do I need to do? She asked Peter. Connect with the interface. Your mind will join with the precursor consciousness, and together you'll generate the pattern needed to reset the harmonics. Will it hurt? Lisa asked quietly. Peter couldn't meet her eyes. I don't know. As Lisa prepared to connect with the Machine, Commander Harris received a final transmission from Admiral Lane. The brave admiral had executed a brilliant maneuver, splitting the remaining fleet into 3 groups that attacked the main harmonic node from different vectors simultaneously. The tactic created a brief window of vulnerability in the harmonic defenses. "You'll have exactly 117 seconds once we break through," Lane said, his image flickering with static. "Make them count, Ellie." Those were his final words before his flagship drove directly into the central mass of the main harmonic entity, creating the opening they needed. In the Europa chamber, Lisa Chen connected with the ancient interface. Her body arched in pain as her mind merged with the precursor consciousness. The crystalline structures throughout the chamber began to pulse with blinding light. "It's working," Peter shouted over the increasing rumble of the chamber. Major Winters grabbed Ellie's arm. "Commander, we need to evacuate now. This whole facility is becoming unstable." Ellie looked at Lisa, whose body was now suspended in a column of energy, her eyes open but seeing something beyond normal space. "We can't leave her," Ellie protested. "She's already gone," Peter said gently. "Her consciousness has joined with the precursors. What we're seeing is just a physical shell." As they raced back to the surface, the energy from the Europa facility shot upward through the ice in a brilliant beam that connected with the harmonic mother node. Throughout the solar system, the harmonics froze in place as new information flooded through their collective consciousness. The Defiant, badly damaged but still functional, managed to clear Europa's orbit just as the moon's surface began to crack. Apart from the energies being released below, on the bridge they watched in awe as the harmonics began to transform. Their chaotic, threatening forms shifted into more orderly patterns. The strange appendages that had caused so much destruction now folded away. The psychic assault on Earth ceased immediately. "They're changing," Emissary Vela said in wonder, being reset to their original programming. Hours later, as the transformed harmonics began peaceful communication with both human and Nexus representatives, the full meaning of the prophecy became clear. Humanity hadn't been meant to destroy the harmonics, but to help them evolve beyond their corrupted programming. Standing on the observation deck of the Defiant, Commander Ellie Harris looked out at the stars with new eyes. Representatives from a dozen alien species were gathering on Earth to form a new alliance, one built not on fear of prophecy, but on the shared hope for a future they would shape together. Humanity had fulfilled its purpose. But rather than an ending, it was just the beginning.